What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue on the theme of loadouts, but we're going to be discussing it in a slightly different light. I'll get into that in just a moment, but before I do, I want to tell you about today's giveaway, which is actually the giveaway we've been doing for the entire month, once I can find it here. It is the Gut Knife Black Laminate, but it's actually paired with the unhinged Broken Fang gloves in field tested. So Battle Scarred Knife, field tested gloves, really nice sort of entry combination that's neutral as well, so it fits with any loadout. All you have to do to enter this is make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then leave a comment down below of your favorite skin flat out in Counter-Strike 2. If you want the best place to buy and sell your CS2 skins, then look no further than today's sponsor, Skinport. Skinport offers users a fast, smooth, easy and secure experience for buying and selling Counter-Strike skins, with the benefit of items being much cheaper compared to buying on the Steam community market.
This is the way.
This is the way.
There are no buying fees, selling fees range between 2 to 12%, and there's over 1 million skins available on Skinport at any time. With a great Trustpilot rating, it's the perfect place to start building your loadout, whether you're going for budget gems or picking up some insane skins. They are also the reason we can keep running giveaways to give back to you guys, so make sure you check out Skinport using the links in the description or pinned comment, and let's get back to the video. Now, the reason this is different is because we're not going to be discussing a themed loadout or any budgets. I'm actually going to be talking about the loadout you should be using in Counter-Strike 2. And what I mean by that is what weapons you're using on both CT and T side. Now, I know this might be a little bit different for some people that might not be aware of the more competitive side of things that I do, but I think a lot of this will apply even to casual comp as well. So I'm actually going to start on CT side. And for this, I'm going to start with pistols, specifically the starting pistols. For this, I think most people should still be using a USP. You guys will know I've started to dabble around a little bit more with the P2000, but overall I think the USP is still the best option, but every now and then just switch out to a P2000 and see how that feels. This is a super obvious pick. It's a $300 pistol. You can get it even on Pistol Run. You can get it on the low buys 2Ks, and you'll be able to do some damage with it. Now, while I personally have started trying the ZZs over the Dual Berettas, I think for most people the Dual Berettas here are still the better choice. These are $300, again, good for pistol rounds, low buy rounds. The reason for these over CZ is both the price, but also it's more likely a teammate will ask for Dual Beretta drops than a ZZ. And then the two ones I think are pretty obvious. The first one's going to be the 5.7. You can do some serious damage with the 5.7. There was the clip of Volt on Gamer Legion, just absolutely tearing people apart with it. And then finally, another no-brainer is going to be the Desert Eagle. Now, I think overall the pistols for both T and CT are a bit more, it's the norm. You know what 5 you want, and the only real change would maybe be the Dual Berettas or the 5.7 out for the ZZ. The big discussion comes when it comes to, mid-tier, where you've got 5 options. Flat out, you need to have an MP9 equipped, right? Okay, it's super cheap, movement speed's great with it, fire rate is insanely good. This is your low buy weapon or your force weapon. And honestly, situationally, depending on which site you're playing, having this to then build up cash elsewhere is actually viable as well. So 100% have this. I have 2 other SMGs in the mid-tier. The first one's going to be the MP7. Now, this one is a little bit more niche. The likes of Nerds uses this and does really well with it. I have some cases where I'll pick this instead of the MP9 if I know I'm going to be a bit more passive. And for me, longer range, I feel like this definitely is better. So if you're maybe playing rather than close range, you've got a bit more mid-range. That's where maybe spending the extra for the MP7 over the MP9 could be good. And then the one that I've been testing recently, but Elite was talking, I think on HLTV confirmed, they're talking counter about this, is the UMP is actually a very good option. I think it's $1,200 or $1,250. It's a $1,200 item, so it's not too much more than the MP9. Spray pattern for it is super simple. You just pull down, not great spray control, but you literally just pull down, and if you get anywhere decent with this, you can sort of shred through people on no buy. So this is one that I've started testing a bit more, and I would use this over the likes of a P90. Then we have 2 shotguns. First is going to be the XM. Now, this has been nerfed slightly. The kill reward has dropped from 900 to 600, but this is still fantastic. Good examples, whilst I'm on Ancient, for areas to use this, if you play Boost on A and you're just going to have a molly waiting for shadows, you can at least take fights here. And then the other spot where this is useful, on Ancient particularly, is going to be if you're playing in a cave angle. for example, like if you're holding this angle with an XM and someone walks into it, you're going to do some serious damage. Then the final mid-tier option I'm running with is going to be the Nova. Now this, I think, it's like it's just over 1,000. You can, if you get good aim with it, you can start taking people's heads off. I don't buy it too much. Realistically, from this mid-tier, I basically buy like MP9, UMP, and XM, the most out of them. But I think that's the 5 mid-tier you should be using on CT side. And then we get on to the 5 rifles, where there's actually a decent amount of conversation here for CT side. Now, I'm going to start from the position of a rifler or just someone that doesn't op regularly. Now, first of all, everyone should have a FAMAS equipped. Don't be that person that when your teammate needs a rifle drop and you've got like 2,300 left and you turn around and say, sorry mate, I can't drop you the FAMAS because I don't have it equipped, but I can give you an MP9. No. Make sure you have this equipped. It's good for you on low buys, and I'm saying, like, if you need to drop a teammate a rifle, please make sure you have this as an option. Obviously, that's if you don't have enough to drop them an M4. Then, speaking of M4s, I want to have both equipped, which is kind of like the big thing that came from this time last year when the announcement came out that you're going to be able to equip both. You should have both the A1S and the A4 equipped. There's reasons for this, one of which is going to be for yourself, because if you're playing slightly different positions, like if you play a position on a map where you want to maybe play around smokes a little more, take some pop shots, don't want to have tracers, A1S is great. If, for example, now I personally still use an A1S while playing as an A anchor, I sometimes will get an A4 here just in case they rush me because I get the extra 10 bullets in the magazine. Like that extra 10 bullets for the M4A4 as an anchor can be incredibly good, and also some people just prefer the spray pattern and how the M4A4 plays, but it is more expensive, so just make sure, again, you have both equipped. So, 1 for yourself, 2, if your teammate asks, and you have the money for it, and they ask for an M4A4, and you've opted not to equip it, you're doing your team. Remember, CS is a team game as well as just you wanting to frag out individually. Now, this is the area where we can start to have slightly different discussions, and I'll come back to it near the end, but if you're not an opper, for me, I think if you're not opping, for most cases, you maybe don't want to have the AUG equipped. Now, I know you'll make the argument that it's a scoped weapon, but this takes away your scout slot, and you probably want to have the scout equipped instead, and then rely on your teammates to have the AUG equipped to potentially drop you at some points. But AUG, again, situationally can be very good, so make sure you've got this equipped. And then the final rifle is going to be the AWP. Obviously, we want this equipped. There was a theory at the very start when this whole thing came out was that players might not equip the AWP, but I think there's 5 slots. You've got a FAMAS for low buy, you've got both M4s, and then you have an AUG or a Scout, and then you have the AWP. I think there's no reason to not have the AWP. If anything, it's just a detriment to your team. Now, that is the CT side sorted. Let's look at T side. Now, for T side, you only have one option for your starting pistol. It is going to be the Glock. The good news for that is the Glock only pistol round can absolutely shred, and it's great for a rush. I don't have to explain these picks too much. Much like for the CT, we are going to continue with a P250 in one of the other pistol slots. This is good to drop on pistol rounds sometimes. Like dropping one of these, if you're buying util or buying a kit and drop one of these to a teammate or for yourself, it can be pretty good. Again, I think dual Berettas are the next one you probably want to have on here because it's likely that you might get asked to drop them. I don't see them used as much on T side, but they are viable. The pistol I much prefer to have on a T-side rush if I'm doing a low buy instead of maybe dual is a Tech 9. If you don't have this equipped, you don't know what you're missing out, man. It can dink people from 99 from like medium to long range, which can be frustrating if they've got a helmet, but it can also be incredibly good. And then we'll have a Desert Eagle again. I mean, this one was obviously coming. If you're good with a Deagle, you can absolutely sort of terrorize the CTs a bit with a Deagle on a low buy. Like, you can just start taking heads off with it and hit their economy hard. So overall, I think pistol-wise for T-side is pretty spot on. There's no real switches you'd really want to consider making. As we get into the mid-tier items, obvious one here, much like the MP9 on CT side, is we're going to have the Mac 10 on T side. Movement speed for this, you can see here, like just jumping accuracy as well. It's so good just to run and jump with and just rush into spaces on the map. The MP7 is going to come out again, kind of similar reasons I was discussing last time. Now, if you're going for a rush, you really don't want this. You want to have the Mac 10 100%. But if you're playing a position maybe that's, I don't know, if you're lurking on a weird guy or just you're going to be taking slightly different fights, I think there is a reason to consider the MP7. Now, the unorthodox choice is going to be the MP5. Now, the only thing that gives me merit for picking this is that Bit used it in the major. and has actually been using it a little bit. I don't buy it as much because price-wise, it's like it's a decent chunk more expensive than the Mac 10, and it really has to be a situational play. But I do like making plays around smokes with this on T side if you sort of get good with the spray control and accept the fact that you're going to need to put maybe like 6 bullets into them if you're getting body shots. A bit like before, we are going to have a UMP as well. Now, same reasons before. Recoil control for this is pretty easy. It is a slower rate of fire, but if the CTs don't have any head armor, you're going to be getting into sight with this pretty cleanly. But again, it's one that if you're completely rushing, I wouldn't say this is best. You want to go for a Mac 10 still. And then finally, I'm going to pick an XM for T side. I don't buy this too often, but there can definitely be some use cases for it. For example, because I'm on Ancient, again, we'll use this. If you're coming to take Kiev, for example, and you're swinging this and you're taking that fight, like, a Mac 10 is good and all to run and jump, but an XM just barreling down and doing damage to your teammates is also somewhat viable, but it is double the cost almost. And then that takes us on to the rifles for T side. And the thing here is there's absolutely no debate. You have to be picking these 5. First up, it is the Gale. Great for your lower buy rounds. Actually can be. It's actually statistically better than both M4s. So even though you might be on a Gale round, you think, oh damn, I wish I had the AK. You can still do damage with this. Speaking of the AK, we obviously are going to have this. It's the best rifle in the game, without a doubt. If you don't have this equipped, then I don't know what to say. Then I am going to have the SG. I think this is another one that situationally can be very good. One that I quite like this for is if I'm lurking Palace or Mirage. I like being able to have a scoped weapon and scope up early, walk up, and then take the peek onto stairs, for example. I think this is definitely a very good weapon to have. One-tap potential is very strong with it too. Now, we're not going to feature any auto snipers, and that allows us to get the scout out. T-side scouting, I think, is mostly for oppers, I would say. Just trying to do sort of damage. Like, if an op, say, for example, an op gets this, and they're just fighting, like, window, and they get, like, a body shot off, it means anyone that's got pistols and taking shots at them has a higher chance of killing them. That's kind of the use case for it. And then, obviously, we're going to have the op. AK and op kind of just have to be in the selection once again. If you're not picking the op because you're not an opper and you don't want to be dropping it to people asking for it, just grow up a little bit. And that sort of rounds this off. Now, I know this is very, very different to usual, but we do a lot of videos where we're talking about the skins you could be getting, and I think sometimes you guys wonder, oh, why haven't I put an MP9, why I've not put a negative skin in, why I've not put a P90 skin in, why sometimes I don't include the Scout if we're on a limited budget. And that's kind of the reason. Now, I can show the loadout now, just sort of show you how I have mine selected. So, this is how my CT looks. And I've actually gone against my own suggestions of using the Julies, because I've got a ZZ on. I'm currently testing it. We'll see how it goes. But for most people, definitely put the Julies on instead. Then we have the 5 I was saying, and the only ones that really would change as I look now, you could consider on the rifles putting a SG over an AUG, and that would be fine. And then you could rock this. The other one that you could consider on CT would be a P90. Now, what you'd want to put this over, I'm not too sure. I think for me, it would be over a Nova, a UMP, or an MP7, depending on what you're using. But I still think the 5 we have selected are better, but that would be one of the other options. You also have on CT, you can go for a Mag 7, but something, I used to use a Mag 7, and putting it over the Nova is what I used to do. But I think it's just got to the point now where I'm either going to be on a pistol or going for something better. So I think just the Nova, because it's cheaper, by like $250 just makes more sense to have equipped, but that's another one you could do. And then the only other mid-tier, if I can find it, is going to be the Negev. I think putting a Negev in here, once again, over maybe an MP7, a UMP, or a Nova, could be viable. Again, it's 1700. If you're holding down a sight, it has become somewhat viable. And like I say, T-side, you don't really need to change anything, and we're just flat out not using auto snipers. So, I'm going to end it there, guys. Just a reminder that we do have the knife and glove giveaway going for the gut knife, black laminate, and the unhinged gloves. All you have to do to enter that is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know your favorite skin from Counter-Strike. This was something a bit different. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was somewhat informative and can help you guys get some wins on Comp, Premier, or Face It, whatever you're playing. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.